What's the matter?
Space Force! He's a man!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Think you can handle that?
We'll do it live. We'll do it live! That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today.
Coming to you live from Arcane Sublevel 7, It's Talk is Cheap. Now here's your host, Dan Hohlfeld.
The ripping and the tearing. All right, go.
Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap. I'm your host, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Hohlfeld. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tuesday, March 5th, 2019. And we are live. We are live every Tuesday. As of right now, that will change, but 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And of course, if you can't watch the show live, we always love to have people live. I got the chat open. Great to interact with everybody. If you can't catch it live, catch it later. We got the podcast available on all your favorite podcasting platforms.
We'll do it live.
So, without further ado, I'm just going to get right into today's guest. She's joining me from Houston, Texas. None other than Kerry Walker. Kerry, thanks for joining me today. How are you?
Hey, Dan. I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad. A little cold. What the hell is that? Something was beeping in here. But, yeah, it's,
How cold is it?
What are we at today? Get my watch up. 15 degrees, so it's better than it's been lately, but it hit 0 again last night. Wasn't too happy about that.
Oh, see, I'm in Houston, and it was really cold last night. It actually really was, and I think we got down to maybe 25, but tomorrow it's supposed to be back up in the 60s, so we're good.
That was your night low, right?
That was our night low.
Yeah.
That's like our absolute low. I don't know when we've been that cold.
Dang.
I mean, it's been a long time. Yeah.
But you get some nice days.
We do. We also get some really hot days. So it's a give and take.
Yeah, so tell us about your podcast a little bit, because you did have a regular show that was called The Joyride Show with Tiffany Williams, and then you had to break off and kind of go on your own here. So I don't know how much you want to dive into this.
Oh, well, I think that all good things come to an end at times, and it was an incredible joyride. We did about 2 years, 105 shows. We had a great time with it, but not only that, we were really good friends. Our kids are friends, husbands are friends. We traveled together. But when you have different ideas for a show, she kind of wanted to stay a little bit smaller, didn't want to grow too much because I think it was a lot of, what's the word? It was just a lot for her. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I fell in love with this whole idea and the work that we did. And I wanted to go as big as we can. And so we just decided to do our own thing. So she does the tapping, and she has a son that has some health issues. So she really wants to dive into that and kind of really, really work with him. And I'm doing a show. I started my own show. So there we are.
Yeah. I was on your show, what was it, last year, I think, sometime. That was cool. You guys you went into a studio to do it professionally. That was awesome setup there, but kind of shift gears and try to save money and do it yourself now, I suppose.
That's exactly right. We decided to do it at the house, and I really want to take the show on the road and just go explore and talk to people. And this world has so much cool stuff. And so, as you know, I think you're really great at this. It's hard. I mean, getting all the equipment and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and like you said, I mean, the Wi-Fi. There's so many things out of your control. So I started probably, I don't know, around Christmas. I decided to break off and do my own thing. And well, actually it was before that. Actually, it's right after we got back from our trip. We saw you out in Sedona. That was a great trip.
It was awesome. I think, and this is what we're going to get into here, because I think a lot of this energy coming into the planet, we had the big Schumann resonance that's been spiked off the charts here. Today, folks, I'm going to bring it up on screen here for you so you can see it. It's not as active, but it's, where did it go? Here it is. not as active as it was the other day, but I think a lot of this has to do with that solar, what do they call it? The solar sneeze, flare,
yes.
whatever they want to call it, changing. And if it's going to change everybody and make this big shift happen, and we're seeing it, like systems are starting to break and change and kind of forcing you to do things that you don't really want to do. It's kind of a
out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much to that, and I'm not sure how far into that you want to go, but I know that I always think of a pot of water on the stove, and when you turn up the heat, everything starts to move around and jiggle around, and I feel like that's what this does. Is it's making people fall off the fence. It's making people do what they came to do. Either you step up and step in, or you go home. I mean,
yes.
Exactly.
I like that.
I love that one too.
I was like, wait a minute, where did that come from? Yeah. So that is, I know that, I mean, that's sort of what actually happened with us, is that it grew to this point. And I would love to talk about that. I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, let's dive into it. Because I did kind of have an agenda, and I'm like, whatever, let's just let the conversation flow where it may go. We're here for an hour.
Okay.
I think that big thing I want to talk about too, this energy came in, and now my job's challenging me because, I had my set schedule. I came out here, wanted to do the show at 1 p.m. every week, and now things are going to have to change. And then I start worrying. I like having a lot of people live, and it seems to be like the afternoons are the best time to do that. But now I might have to do a late evening, and it's like, is that going to take a hit? I don't know, but my job's going to make me do 12 hours now instead of 8, and it's just a tear there. So I can't do a bunch of like prep work that I would do for the show normally during the week. Now it's going to have to be, when I can do it, and it's just like mind strain when you had it all figured out. Well,
can I say what I see?
Sure.
So I see that you're being forced to make a choice,
mm-hmm.
and it's you're maybe not to make a choice between A and B, black and white, but to make a choice between, do you let go of the security and shift things around a bit to pursue what you love? And you've always loved this. I mean, we've actually talked about this before. So that'll be fun for me, not for you, I'm sure, but to sit back and watch and see what happens, see where you go and what you do. So,
yeah.
So you're being affected too.
Yep. I definitely wanted to try to do that transition, but there's definitely not enough, income in this to be doing that, especially if I plan on moving down the road. Yeah. But yeah, where do you want to go from here?
Well, I would love to talk about how do you walk through this stuff? How do you walk through when things start to shake up and things start to move around? We tend to want to grasp things and hold on tight, but as we know, the shift just becomes bigger, and you, not really the shift, the shake becomes bigger, and you have to make the changes. So how do you do that? How do you honor the person you're with or the job that you have, and how do you open up to the different ideas that are trying to come through? Because I truly think, I know in my experience, one of the biggest things I've learned from this is to recognize the signs and don't be afraid, and to say, hey man, this doesn't work for me, and you do it with love. Otherwise, stuff starts to come out sideways, and that's when people get hurt and people get angry, when you don't honor and you don't kind of go with those feelings that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you gotta take it as it may come, and there's a challenge every day. Like, you get used to the way things are, and then bam, it'll change on you, and then bam, you get used to that. Bam, another left and right. And this last quarter was so challenging, and I don't know if it was just I think it's challenging for everybody now, because even when we talk about Corey Good, he said that there's going to be a lot of things coming up and challenging people, and you basically have to try to keep your mind set, release. And M and Ms.M talked about this too. We got to release our baggage and stuff and just let it go. Otherwise, it's just going to consume you. And we are being challenged.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you that I think I told you that I was in a hospital last week, and it was nothing. Turned out to be just basic stuff, but it makes you start to think. And I was thinking, I couldn't help but think, what if we're already there? What if all we have to do is let go and step into that new realm? What if it's here? You know, we keep waiting for this big ascension, the system to break down, which I personally don't buy into that. That ascension looks like it would if we went to a show, you know, and this big boom and people are out and some people leave. I kind of think I don't know how psychic you can. I think you really are. But it's such a quiet voice. Spirit is so gentle, and you have to really tune in to hear it. And I don't know that the ascension's not that way too. I don't know. What do you think? What if we stick ourselves in this waiting for it?
See, yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And that's why I put the event on the topic list here so we can discuss that. I mean, we're constantly waiting for something and it's not happening. Well, we can see, you know, the political realm shifting and things of, like, I want it to go faster. I'm ready for that. My body just feels like it's ready for that, what's quantum leap, but it's just not going to happen, I don't think.
Why not?
The biggest thing, because it's like, I want the free energy systems to be coming out, because this is like huge. It would change everything. That topic alone would, bam, get people to think differently. People are like, oh, what about their jobs? No, the jobs would transition. And, oh, you sent me a snap.
I didn't mean to.
But jobs would transition completely in order to fill that gap. And now with Trump saying that he wants to build this oil pipeline, that is a cue to me that there's nothing immediate that's going to come out, because why would you waste your time building an oil pipeline if you were going to release free energy next year, 2 years from now, or even 5 years? I mean, why? It wouldn't be a point.
I think that's true. And I think that it is. And so how does that make you feel?
Upset that I'm stuck in the 3D realm here.
Well, so, but doesn't that fear and that anger or that, that letdown, doesn't that hold you in that place too?
It does. That's why I try to meditate every day and release it. But of course, it's always going to come up. When you're stuck in a 3D job where it feels like it's almost certain to be what do I want to say? It's a fake illusion of being free. Because it's like, you're free, you can pick your job, but you can pick your store, but at the end of the day, you got to work to live on the planet when it comes down to it. And it's like, I want it to just be like it should be. But
what if it's fake that you're stuck? I mean, what if we turn that around? And I'm just trying to give a different paradigm, like a different way to view this, because maybe truly it's there, it's waiting for us. We just have to step in, because I know that people will. Okay, so going back, I have 3 boys, and at one point, one of my sons, this is years ago, and he was terrified of Ebola. And Mom, when will you take me out of school? And what will we do? And what if we get it? And all the kids at school were talking, fear, fear, fear. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I used to buy Tamiflu because I was told that we would run out, and there was bird flu and swine flu. And I mean, all of these things. And finally I said, I'm done. I'm done being afraid. And it's not that I check out or put my head in the sand. It's just, that's not where I live. And I don't have these issues. And we didn't get sick. I don't know. I just kind of think that sometimes we take on everybody. We're told that we're supposed to feel these certain ways, and we're supposed to be afraid of all of these things that may not ever even come across your path. And I had to hear myself say that, because I need to hear that. But it is so what if you're told that your job sucks and you're stuck in this job and you have to have X amount to live? But what if there was this other idea that's just waiting for you to discover it? And maybe in your head you have it set up that this is, A, B, and C has to be there, and these are the only things that I know that I'll do, when really there's this idea that you haven't even come across yet, but you have to be open to it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really got to let go and trust. Trust is the big one.
Now, you don't just go quit your job and, say, oh, I don't have to pay bills. Well, yeah, you do have to pay bills. I mean, if you want to keep your car and keep your house, you need to pay bills. But it just seems like when we open up to these other ideas, it's like the stones just start to light up and your path just sort of shows itself.
Yeah.
I'm getting preachy.
Yeah. It's good points. I'm not going to deny that, but with the law of attraction and that, I think it's right to a certain extent. And like Abraham Hicks, she'll always talk about you got to get into your vortex in order to see the pathways and have this is the key though. You got to get the inspiration to take action. And that's a lot what these the new age teachers, they don't emphasize action. They think you can just dream about it and then it happens.
That's not going to happen. No. And it's funny, right before you said that, I was thinking, if you want me to give you an example of someone that I worked with at one point.
Yes, sure.
Short little story. So this person, she had this great job and she got pushed out. Great job, made a ton of money. And she didn't know what she was going to do. She really didn't want to go back to that, but that's how she paid her bills. And I said, well, what do you love? Oh, I love to design. I love to design. I love to make clothes. I love clothes. And she had enough cash so that she could go back to school. She got her degree in design. And she ended up working as she had a business and they go into folks' office. And she also likes to travel. And she finds both men and women, but mostly men. And she fits them for these beautiful suits. And then she has somebody over in the East that I can't talk, makes them. And she's living her love. She's living, but had she not lost her job, I mean, she never would have quit her job. She made a ton of money. And so why would you quit your job? But in a way, she was stuck because she didn't like it. She liked what it gave her, but she didn't like her job. And I think that that's an example of what do you love? What can you do? Can you do it a little bit and then just kind of grow it as your main job, sort of that doing this job, kind of easing into it. I had one guy about 2 weeks ago. I said, what do you love? He's like, I hate being an attorney. I don't like doing that. I said, well, okay. He said, I want to travel and I want to write. Okay. So you would like to actually, he wants to have a podcast. He wants to do these different things. And he said, yeah, but I don't know if I can make anything at that. I was like, well, you don't have to, keep doing your job, do this part-time, kind of the way you do. And at least it'll feed your soul. Mm-hmm. And you've opened that door to go on to the next thing. And you're right. You do have to have steps. You do have to figure out, have a plan of action. And so that's what I would ask you. And I know that you have a plan of action, but I think that there's a way to step into our future and what makes us happy. And I think that, I don't know, I'm not really sure that it's exactly as we've been told. I've been there. I've been to the New Earth. I went, I didn't know what it was, but I went in 2014. And
wait, was this phenomenal. A dream or a vision?
I don't know. I basically, my kids, I had this dream and it was it was a dream. It was the most incredible thing. And we were waiting. It's like we were waiting for something huge to happen, and no one went to work that day, and everybody's excited. So my children and my husband and I get in the car and we're driving down the street, and all of a sudden I felt this flip, and it's like we flipped off into a pool, and we were in this world that looked just like this world, but cleaner. It's like the air was cleaner. Everything was shinier. It was beautiful. And this person wearing this long robe and short white hair came to me and she said, do you know where you are? I said, no. And she said, you're in basically the new, like, what is she didn't call it the new earth. She said, you're in, well, she did. She said, you're on a different world. And then in the meantime.
Wait, let me interject here. What yes. Do you think that was the Anshar?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's talk about that because she looked like Judi Dench. She had white hair and she wore this long blue robe and she was just beautiful. I mean, just kind of glowed. But in this world, My kids came in. It was like 5 a.m. A husband said, I got it. Go back to sleep. I went right back in and picked up right where I left off. And
See, that
was the
is
part.
key. Yeah. Because that's when I had like a orb come in my room and like show me a vision of stuff. And then I went, woke up, I got out of it. It was hard to get out of it, but I got out of it because my body was paralyzed and stuff. But I came out of it, went back to sleep. Same thing happened again. That's how you know that it's not a dream.
Right. And that's what, I mean, I woke up going, what? And prior to that, I started thinking, why is everyone sick? Why is our government so corrupt? Why? And I started like really starting to peel back. I started to peel back. Like, things are not what they seem. Anyway, so I went back in and she said, you know, do you have questions? And I said, well, yeah, you know, do I have a house? My first thing. She said, you can have whatever you want. And I said, let's see, I asked her about the house. I said, can my husband work? She said, yes, but it will look different. He's an attorney. She said, here, people don't steal ideas. We don't need them, but he will use his technology background. And what she showed me is that the things they come up with, they put on the earth in different places. Like they drop it into different folks. So it's not just one person gets that idea. And I said, do they know where we are? And she said, no. She said, we watch them. They don't know where we are. And she was telling me that she showed me, and she said that they were taking people, different people. And she said it wasn't, she said that the dark had become too heavy, too strong. And she showed me sort of like a cloud over the earth. And she said it's almost like the balance, we can't get it back. And so we just decided, but eventually everybody goes. And that was sort of it. And I woke up and it's like, that was the oddest dream. I don't know what that was. So then Charles and I were watching HBO one night, and that movie, Taken, Not Taken, the one with Justin Trudeau not Justin Trudeau. What's his name?
Timberlake.
Jennifer Aniston's husband, whatever that guy's name is. And he was in this HBO deal where they took these people off the earth. I was like, honey, that's just like my dream. And so it was really interesting. So that's when I first learned about the new earth. So I think it's real, but I don't know if it's something that we just have to be a match to. It's sort of like we don't necessarily, like you'll know you're there when you're there, if that makes sense. Yes, that guy.
Okay.
Justin
Trudeau. However you say that.
That's like a Cajun name. Thoreau. Yeah.
But yeah, I want to mention this in the chat room. Child 7328 said, like the time you didn't know how you were going to go to Sedona, but once you took the plunge, life on the way. Once you took the plunge, life on the way for you. Yeah, exactly. Because when Allison said she was going to go down to Sedona, I was like, all right, whatever, have fun. Maybe get down there sometime. But then, yeah, with the luck and push of couple, viewers here, I decided to do it. And first time on a plane, so that was a whole experience, because being an INFJ, that's how I always got to have stuff visualized out. I got to be prepared for everything, and that drives you nuts and you get stressed out, and it's like, oh, it's just too much hassle, I'm not going to worry about it. Now I went through it, so now I can easily travel again. That's why I'm going to do the Gilliland Ranch in August. Good. I'm looking forward to that.
Good. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. You know what, though? So it is. So this feeling I had last week at the hospital, I thought, if it's really my time, I'm done. I rented this car. You go to a different place, you rent a car so you can travel around. That's what this is. Kerry is it's just a vehicle. Then it's just a name. And so it makes me think, I don't know, I realize that we are human, and then we try really hard to break out of all of the ideologies that means. And it's really sort of what we've been programmed to think, right? And programmed to believe that those people are the ones that have the money. Those people are the ones that are happy. Those people, or what do? We say we will be happy. We will be at peace when X, Y, and Z happens. So we're always pushing it off, and we always have it's like these voices in our head saying you don't deserve it, or you're not enough, or whatever it is. But so you discard that. You see it for what it is. You discard that, and you realize, wow, there's this whole other world out there. There's this whole other world as far as also it's like seeing ghosts, being in contact with folks on different planets. And then where I am now is I've come to the human, not human. This human thing's kind of fun, meaning I'm here. I may as well have fun with it. I may as well get into it. I may as well enjoy it, because if I wanted to be one with everyone, why would I have come? That's my new place that I'm at.
All right. Yeah. I've had enough of the human experience myself, but whatever floats your boat, Kerry.
Yeah, but it can be fun. It really can be fun.
Yeah, I guess it's all in how you look at it. And I think a lot of it is, too, where you are on the planet. Because unless it was just a travel excitement, but when I was down in Arizona, I felt totally different than I do up here in Wisconsin. And I was actually still felt that like 2 weeks after I came back, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, faded away, and now I'm back to the old self again. But I always push through, I guess. But let's go ahead and take a commercial break. We're at the bottom of the hour, and we come back. We can talk about the Trudeau scandal a little bit, because M and Ms.M said this was going to happen, and it happened now, folks. So stay tuned. Wow. Talk is cheap after the break later.
You're listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld on the K2D4 network.
Have a comment, question, or topic suggestion? Call our voicemail at 1-256-510-5234. That's 1-256-510-K2D4.
On sale now at the K2D4 Network store. We have a wide range of shirts to get the message out to the public. The Disclosure Now with Fisty, break through the wall of suppression. End the cover-up with UFO tea. Let the public know that there is more going on than we know. And it is time to bring out the suppressed technologies and advance civilization once and for all. The signature, Talk is Cheap, it's time for disclosure. The Disclosure/Now tea. Very simple but very effective message. It is time to change the world, and let's begin right now. And last but not least, the official K2D4 Network shirt. Support the broadcast and get yours at K2D4Network.com.
Enjoying the show? Consider supporting us by donating to our Patreon. Patreon.com/K2D4Network.
Live from the K2D4Network.com studios, it's Dan Hohlfeld.
Oh, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the broadcast. Dan Hohlfeld on live with Kerry Walker from Alice Eats the Apple. We've been talking about a lot of stuff, energies shifting, big experience changes. So Kerry, so what do you think of this Trudeau scandal? So basically, Jody Wilson, who's the former Minister of Justice now, was persuaded from prosecuting a California engineer company, which was SNC Lavalin, for bribery and fraud. And basically Trudeau came out and said, don't do that. These people are providing jobs to the market. We don't want to let them go. But then that's kind of being obstruction of justice. So now I'm going to bring the article on screen. Why I decided to show this was just because we had M and Ms.M. They were on your show also. That we got... This is the scandal. They were talking about that Trudeau was going to be caught in a scandal. Here it is. Now, I can't remember, and maybe you do, Kerry, if they said that he was going to have to resign.
I don't know. I don't know that part. I know that they're pretty amazing. Those two, Mr. and Ms.M. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, okay. But this begs a question, though, because he ran on the whole platform of being transparent and honest, and for the little guy, And there are 5. He's in the process of 5 investigations, and they all seem relatively small. Well, this one's not. It's actually pretty big. So do you think you have to be pretty corrupt to run? And this is just a little side note. Or do you think that you get into the office and it kind of it bends you up?
Actually, I think both.
Yeah.
I think maybe people go in with pure intentions. They realize that they need money to run. So then you get special interests that'll help run their campaign, pay for it, finance it. And then you get corrupt because you have to deal with their interests. It's bought and paid for. And they couldn't do that with Trump. And that's why they got so pissed off at him. And all this stuff happened. And now that was the other thing, too, I wanted to mention, the Russian collusion. So now that's case closed, but you didn't hear it really on the news. They kept it hush, quietly. Now they're trying to do this other thing.
Yeah, they're moving on to the next thing. I know. I've never seen anything like that. And people are just floored that I like him. And it's not that I like him or dislike him. I don't know the man. But I think he has a job to do. And he's here doing the job. He's here trying to shake things up and break things down.
And if we go back and look at the Q map, since we're on the subject, this was a couple posts ago now. As of now, that'll change really quick. Q's been posting like a madman. But some crazy, interesting connections here, because this big one, like a few of these you could let go. Like, okay, the Gmail, there's an envelope, and then this is a Masonic Royal Rich Apron. It's comparing the two together for people listening. And you got Facebook, and then the Masonic Tubal Cane, and then the Apple App Store, Android App Store, and a Freemason sign. They show how those look similar. But the big one for me that did it is this Google Chrome. It basically looks like the same thing, but it's like a grayscale version, and it's the Divine King sign 666. So it's like these tech companies are just starting to like blatantly in your face push this stuff. And I've always seen this stuff, but it was always kind of like, well, it could be kind of taken a different way like that. But now with that Google Chrome one, that's really obvious that is the same. And then there's a Google Play. The Google Play Store, it says basically the seal of Satan. The lines keep going on the seal of Satan, but it's the same thing if you would erase it and put the triangle there.
You know what the weirdest one for me was? I Googled the Pope's throne and his hall. Pull that bad boy up and tell me that. So his audience hall, and then the throne in the hall. And it's supposed to be Jesus with these. Anyway, take a look at it. I won't say anything else.
If it'll come up here, I put Pops. Are you talking about the snake serpent one? Because that's the one that's Isn't that crazy?
And nobody. I mean, I just kind of came across it one day, and it's like, no one sees that this looks like a cobra head. No one sees that this looks like. It reminded me of that movie. Anyway, I do have a lot of parallels with the movies. Did you see it?
This picture here, yeah. Because this was like, it's like in your face, but at the same time, it's like you wouldn't really notice if you don't really like kind of pay attention to this stuff. Because you can definitely see the teeth there, the eyes, would that be his forehead, I suppose, and
yeah, it's sort of that slope. And then inside, it even looks at inside. And that throne reminds me of that movie with Al Pacino, and he's the devil. And he had with Keanu Reeves. And it's like he had this undulating backdrop in the movie. Anyway, it is just sort of what it reminds me of. I know, it's crazy. I mean, the symbolism all around is crazy. But last night I was looking at chemtrails. I'm really intrigued by chemtrails. And I went in totally open. This is why this stuff's so confusing. Wikipedia stopped short of saying, if you believe in chemtrails, you're a kook. It's just water, condensed, and there was this report that the U.S. Air Force put out in 1996, and that started this whole thing. And Art Bell was the one that brought up and said chemtrail and all this stuff. Well, then I looked at ABC, NBC. They would a few different places ran these different clips saying, yes, we tested it. There is stuff coming from the sky. We do think there are chemtrails. And if Art Bell came up with the term chemtrails, this person on NBC said something about, I had it down. It was Congress passed, or they were trying to pass this bill, and and in the bill, they talked about keeping the airspace safe and no war, but they mentioned chemtrail in this government bill. And I went to gov.com. I went to the government site, and anyway, I'll send that to you because it says chemtrail. I'm like, well, if Art Bell came up with the term chemtrail, then why did the government just wahoo it from Art Bell if we're so kooky? So anyway, my point is that you can go over here and you can find everything that says that, this is nuts. You can go over here and everything says it's the real deal. I know that there are things that go on that they don't want us to know, but it's just really confusing.
That's crazy. Then you should have had that document ready. I could have brought it up on the show, but that's for them to actually admit that.
Yeah.
In your face.
And it was and then they were saying, anyway, I'll send it to you because it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Just to read through it.
A lot of the congressmen and the senators, that in that documentary, what in the world are they spraying? Every time they try to go confront these people, they'd take off, run away. They don't want to answer. Now it's in your face, and it's I guess they call it geoengineering too, but we're doing it in the name of climate change, of course.
Well, what is the stuff that falls from the sky? They're like little spaghettis. I was sitting outside one day at a son's practice, what is that? And it was just falling from the sky. These little, they look like little spaghettis. They were white.
It's
little
probably
tiny.
The chemtrail stuff.
Yeah, something. Yeah. I don't want to sit outside and
But then they
sniff.
talk about, I had oh man, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. She came on and talked about the nanotechnologies and stuff, and the black goo and the microchips that they put into those chemtrails that are actually in people now. I think everybody has it inside of them, and it's crazy because they'll take grape juice, hold it in their mouth, spit it on the plate, and then they add alcohol to it, and then all of a sudden everything starts squirming. It's when you think about that being inside of you, it's all right.
See, and that though, I do have to say that
Angel hair.
Angel hair, yeah.
That's what Night Saber said in the chat room. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. I can go down that road. I have a guide, a pretty cool guide, and he's like, look, you're not meant to slay the dragon. That's not, and because it is, there's a lot of justifying, and there's a lot of you gotta believe me, and how can you people? I would get so angry. It's how can you not see this, and how can you vote for that person? And I said, look, you're getting slimed. You're getting slimed. You bring the light. Other people's, that's their job. They're built to help slay the dark. And so, but I do think you have to be aware of it. But man, isn't it a slippery slope?
Oh yeah.
It can just make you crazy. At least I can with me.
So let's shift gears to disclosure. So I don't think I ever heard your take on this, or maybe I did off the record. But the whole disclosure thing with Tom DeLonge, this stuff was 2 years ago now. They put this out here, and then all this big thing's gonna happen. And then where are we? It's no one's having the discussion about it. They put that out there so people would start talking about it. It was hot for a month, and then all of a sudden it's wiped from the whole news cycle. And then it keeps okay, we're going to release more, but he's going to concentrate on making these movies and stuff what's been going on for quite a while. But what is your take on disclosure at the state of where we're at right now? I
got to tell you, I look at people like James Gilliland, and I think, how in the world are you still, how are you not pulling out your hair, I think that when you have a handful of people that run everything, it's extremely hard to turn the ship around. And I think that's the way I feel. I feel like it's Titanic, and we are so close to it, and we're trying to turn it on a dime, and it's just taking forever. I think that if disclosure is in our lifetime, it will be partial disclosure. And I think we are waking up. I think a lot of people are waking up. I think if you asked, and if you did a huge poll, you would find out that most people think the way we do. Maybe they don't know why they think the way we do, or they don't, maybe not to the degree we do, because we do the research. And I think something huge is going to have to happen for a massive disclosure. And I think, you asked me what I think. I think that it could create riots. I mean, because if people find
realize
out
what they were lied to, yeah.
I mean, in a huge way. See, that's how I got started. I had cancer, a blip, and I started thinking, why? And why everyone I know has cancer? What is that? I mean, I am in Houston, but what is that? And then I was at the bookstore and I opened up David Icke's book, and his stuff makes me feel icky, but I opened it up.
No pun intended.
Or maybe. And I opened it up and I kept thinking food, it's our food. And I opened it up to this page that said that the Bilderberg Group met, this is back in the 60s, and they met with the food industries. No, they met with Monsanto, and they wanted to start the whole GMO thing. Because with the idea that we are growing and we have this huge population boom happening, and but that's how that actually got started, and that our food is so bastardized that our bodies don't recognize what it's intaking, and then in order to eat pure food, it's so expensive that most people can't really afford it. Anyway, so I that's where I got my validation, and I thought, okay, there's something going on here, and but you start feeling like you're crazy. I mean, that's that whole blue pill, red pill thing. But you can't go back. You can't go back to thinking that everybody is telling you the truth and everybody has your best interest at heart. They don't. They don't have your best interest at heart. Sorry, I know I sound like a
no. You're getting hit from all angles, and it's in the food. Now they're saying that the male fertility dropped because of the flooring and the carpeting and stuff because they checked it with dogs. I read that article just this morning. Crazy stuff, and like it's all meant by design to just tear the population down, and so they can control it. Because yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I think that if we look at David Wilcock's work, and it really spoke to me, this whole idea that we are waking up, that where the planet is in the solar system, it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to back up. So what I feel like we've done this 6 times, 7 times. Humanity's gotten to this point.
And we failed.
And we failed. But we passed the mark in 1987. But it's like they're here, our guides, the people, the benevolence are here saying, okay, oh my God, you guys are still asleep. Wake up. And it's this, they thought more of us would be awake. And I think that's why we're being blasted. That's why it's like more of us are starting to wake up. I mean, and don't you think so? Or is it just that if you have a pink car, every car's pink? You see all the pink cars. What do you think?
You're right. Because as soon as I bought my car, I noticed a lot of them around too. I think I almost want to say that you are drawing more to you, but in a way I think it's just you're just taking notice too, where you wouldn't have before.
Yeah, but I wonder if more people are actually waking up, because if you look at our mainstream, you have the different shows on ghosts and paranormal. I mean, that's a start. I mean, that's just
I think that's partly done by design too, to push people to wake up, because obviously they want to pull the slow disclosure thing, because they can't keep this stuff secret forever.
So what do you think about disclosure? Were you for the rip the Band-Aid? Yeah, I know you are.
Exactly.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yep. Because
oh yeah.
I don't want to. I'm done. It's like I'm tired of waiting, because if we wait for every person, because they say we're supposed to all have our own realities and all that. So I'm ready for the rip off. So why do I got to wait for Joe Schmo to be up to date? I shouldn't have to.
Okay, so going back to what we said before. So one aspect, and I know that it's important for you, is the free technology and the free and the healing. To me, we're all so sick. I mean, there's so many people that are so sick. But what else does it look like to you?
Off world. Immediately, setting up settlements and stuff, and because immediately that takes care of if they want to push this whole population and the carbon dioxide is bad. If they want to push that stuff, this solves it immediately. Like, boom. Okay, we don't have to worry about that anymore. End of argument. Because there's some people that are good-meaning people, but it's like that one issue they can't get off because they think fossil fuels, yeah, I'm not pro-pollution or anything, but I'm pro-advancement of humanity, not going back.
Right.
That this would solve that. It would end the argument with people, and then we could move forward. Because that's what I'm about. I want everybody to get along and get together so we can all move forward and go to the next step, go to space, you know, see other races, trade with them, like live in like luxury. You can go through a portal, boom, have lunch on the other side of the world, come back for your, it would be a fulfilling job at that point, but yeah.
Don't you wonder though, don't you wonder why they keep that so, I mean, I know why they keep it so under wraps, but there has to be, yeah, but if everybody has the same, it's got to be more than that. Because if everybody has the same, it's not like it takes away from them and it gives it to you and me. We all have it. You still have it. I mean, if I knew that I could give away all my money and still have all my money, then why not give it all away? And so what I don't understand, there just has to be more.
It's they don't want us to be free. That's really what it comes down to. They want that control. They want to say, okay, you have to basically be put in this cage and pretend you're free and live a quote unquote happy life, because it's like we don't even know, like when you think about the ramifications of what our life could be, it's mind blowing. Like, yeah. Boom. And people don't even know. They're just happy to, like, you know, eat their TV dinner at night, and maybe the boss gives them a 50-cent raise at the end of the week.
But do you wonder though, because we can go home, and so why is this cosmically playing out? I mean, truly, if we can just go home, and on the other side of the veil, it's very different. Why is it just a cosmic play playing out? Does that question make sense?
Like, you mean we came here for a learning experience, I guess? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Otherwise we wouldn't be here, but that's going to take us into our next article, I think. So we should probably jump into that. Okay, go for it. Yeah. So, all right. Before everybody laughs at this one, I want people to let's just look at this first before I'm going to read it. But, bloke suing parents for not asking consent to give birth to him. A man is reportedly suing his parents for giving birth to him because they didn't ask for his consent to be alive. Now, I know on the face value, it's just like, whatever, this guy's a low life. Let's just read I got a few things highlighted here, and let's just think about it. Really critically think about this, of what he's saying. So Raphael Samuel, 27, from India, is a child-free anti-natalist advocate who believes children shouldn't be made to suffer. He claims parents don't have the right to give birth if a child hasn't agreed to being born. I love my parents, and we have a great relationship, but they had me for their joy and their pleasure. My life has been amazing, but I don't see why I should put another life through the rigmarole of school and finding a career, especially when they didn't ask to exist. He added that the people must know they don't have to have children. Your parents are two people at the age of 20, 25 who just wanted a good night together, and then they had you. The anti-natalist movement is gaining a lot of traction in India as people resist social pressure to have children. Then he has a Facebook page. One of the memes on the page said, "Isn't forcing a child into this world and then forcing it to have a career kidnapping and slavery." So what do you think, Kerry?
Well, I think contractually you agreed to come to this planet, so that blows a hole in that theory. Right. And yeah,
because that's what I wanted to say, because I do think too that we did agree to come here. But when you look at it, the other thing too about this being a prison planet, and you know, you're having a kid and they got to come down here and he's right. Rigmarole of life, setting up your life, getting a career, going through the stress of all that. And you really think, well, who are you to really dictate to do that? I know this is kind of a devil's advocate thing that I'm stressing here, but when you think about it, he's making some decent points.
All right. As a mother of 3 children who clearly, you know, I enslaved them, and I actually make them make their beds in the morning. So there you go. Bad on me. But we're going back to I think as a parent, your job is to tell your children you can do what you want to do. Yes, you do have to walk with a foot in both worlds. Yes, there are, it doesn't ensure happiness, but there are things that we do that may ensure success. But what is success? I mean, success is not money. I know a lot of miserable people that have funds, but so I have to say that I think he's funny, and I think that yes, not everyone needs kids, not everyone wants kids. Kids beat you up, and I mean, and I think it is. If I do my job right, my kids go away, and that's heartbreaking to me. But then I know that when they're 19, you're like, dude, you got to go. But
definitely.
But I don't know. This guy's just funny. I mean, I love that he's bringing attention to the idea that you don't have, that people don't have to have it, but you're going somewhere else with this. So you're talking about the enslavement, and that is a mindset. It is a mindset.
Well,
that
he's in India. So the thing over there is, I think you're required to take care of your parents when they get older. I'm not saying that that's not the thing to do. But
yeah, but his mother's a lawyer. I mean, his parents have money. This guy doesn't live in the slums. He's not Slumdog, I mean, he's just trying to make a point, and I think he's funny. And if you ever hear him talk, he's funny.
It's interesting to think about. Yeah, he's got that fake beard on.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's interesting to think about, because when I first saw the article, I was like, yeah, whatever. And then, then when you do the research that we did, you kind of realize that we agreed to come here and go through this rigmarole. And it is a rigmarole. I mean, to get to build up your life and then have to, give a child. That's the other thing too. I kind of think about, I wouldn't really want to raise a child in this world having to go through all this corruption and suppression and that. But, other people, it's for women, it's their biological narrative. I'm not even going to deny that.
Not everybody.
For most, but what it comes down to is survival of the species.
The species, yeah.
It's doing what it has to do to maintain survival.
But it is, and it's not that I find all of this through having my children. I don't find ultimate happiness in having my kids. If you have kids to make yourself happy, you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
They've aged me. I'm only 20. No, I'm kidding. But but I think at the same time, hopefully with each generation, we're getting better. For my children, they are learning to walk with a foot in both worlds, hopefully. And who knows what they're going to do, but they definitely have my side of what? Are you really going to buy this nonsense? Do you really like this guy? And then their father, who is very, he thinks differently than I do. But it's sort of it'll be interesting to see what comes of it, because I think that these kids coming in now are phenomenal. And and I think a lot of them have gone home. I keep hearing about all these kids that take their own lives, because I think that these souls got here and they're like, dude, they're not ready. And they bail. And I think a lot of kids, you look at, and I think if you look at suicide rates, they're probably high, and which I haven't looked at them. But I think that, again, I think it's a mindset that we're imprisoned. I think that yes, I think we are. I think we're born into that, kind of like the Matrix. You're born into it, but then, like with you've woken up to it. So you're not imprisoned anymore. You think you are. I think I am, but then I realize I'm not. I don't have to.
Somebody wanted some Alex Jones drops in the chat, so I'm trying to get them in here for him.
You're so good. So I don't know. We're gonna have to shift this
That's
idea.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is what it is. It was just interesting to think about, because I see his points, but at the same time, I understand the other side of the equation too. We agreed to come here, go through all this, and we'll have to survive and adapt, I guess, until. And you brought up the kids. You know, they're the star children and the crystal children coming in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and yeah, I met with a person, and she said that her son has had 9 by the time he's 21, 9 friends that have killed themselves.
Jeez.
And
This is insane!
Exactly. So anyway, that's what my guide said. They said yes, that these kids came, and it wasn't really. Oh no, never mind. I was about to take a hard left. Okay.
Okay. I guess we're at the top of the hour, so if you want to plug your site and what you got coming on and what you do over there, and we can wrap for the day.
All right. Well, Alice Eats the Apple. I'm on YouTube and Facebook, and then there's AliceEatsTheApple.com. And let's see, we're doing a panel. We have a workshop that we're doing in San Bernardino, California on May 4th with Emma. Anyways, this whole crew. It'll be really, really fun. You can go to rollingwithemma.com and find out more about that. Let's see what else. I don't know. I'm just sort of going where it moves me. I want to talk more about disclosure. I want to talk more about things that are hidden in plain sight, and I just love to meet people, and I don't know.
Yeah. Are you kind of going away from the event, this New Earth? I think you're probably getting about sick of talking about it too, and nothing's happening. Although and Ms.M said May now we might have something. I don't know. It's interesting because the Schumann resonance has been
just chopping at it,
boom, and it starts getting more erratic.
Well, I started to hoard water and food, and if people aren't in line with what you think, man, they think you're nuts. And then I had to just trust that I would be where I needed to be, and it would be okay. So I'm very much, I would love to see something happen, but I'm going to keep living life and try to go big and go strong, and bring as many people with me as I can.
I wanted to get one more drop here before we go. People are asking for it.
Okay, go for it.
It's all happening.
It's all happening, folks.
There you go.
There you go. For
It's like the 8 ball.
Alex Jones' favorite soundboard over there. All right, we'll wrap here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this week. I'll be back again next week, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. If you don't catch the show live, you can catch us later on either YouTube. I'm going to clarify that too, because a lot of people have been watching the sections that I cut out of this show, and they say, well, I want to see the whole thing. I do the whole thing, put it down as one. It's got the microphone icon, and then I'll cut sections out of that because people's attention spans are really short on YouTube, so I try to keep topics separate, keep it interesting. And I think they're trying to redevelop that channel, and I think because I've been hit by shadow banning and all that, and I think it's starting to work, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you guys in the chat. We'll see you guys later. Dan Hohlfeld,
Thank you guys.
Kerry Walker, signing out. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Visit K2D4Network.com today.